It's 11 p.m. You told yourself 5 more minutes. That was 40 minutes ago. Your thumb is still moving. You don't even know what you're looking for anymore. But here's the strange part. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're running code that's 2 million years old. Your brain was never built for a glowing rectangle. It was built for a forest. And what you're feeling right now, that itch, that pull, that quiet panic if you put the phone down, that's not a modern glitch. That's an ancient survival system, firing exactly the way it was designed to. So what is it actually looking for? Picture your ancestor, walking through tall grass 200,000 years ago. Every rustle in the bushes could be food, or it could be a predator. There was no way to know in advance, and that uncertainty was the whole point. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz spent years studying something called dopamine, and what he found changed how we understand desire itself. Dopamine isn't the reward, it's the anticipation of the reward. It doesn't spike when you get the banana. It spikes when you're not sure if the banana is there. Schultz ran experiments on monkeys, pairing a light with a food reward. At first, dopamine surged when the food appeared, but over time, something shifted. Once the monkeys learned the pattern, the dopamine surge moved earlier. It fired at the light itself, not the food. The brain had learned to crave the signal, not the substance. Now here's where it gets strange. When Schultz made the reward unpredictable, giving food only half the time after the light, dopamine didn't drop. It spiked even higher. Uncertainty itself became the trigger. Your brain, it turns out, isn't wired to love rewards. It's wired to love not knowing. Think about that rustle in the grass again. Your ancestor's brain didn't evolve to feel good after finding food. It evolved to feel driven before finding out what was there at all. That drive, that itch to check, to look, to resolve the unknown, kept early humans alive. The ones who ignored the rustle got eaten. The ones who checked survived and passed on the checking instinct. You inherited that instinct. Every single one of us did. Now fast forward 200,000 years. Swap the tall grass for a phone screen. Swap the rustle for a notification, a red dot, a pull to refresh gesture. The mechanism hasn't changed even slightly. Only the bushes have changed. Every time you pull down on your feed, you're recreating that ancient uncertainty on purpose. Will there be something good? Will there be nothing? You don't know until you check. And that not knowing is exactly what your dopamine system was built to chase. Psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered this same principle decades before smartphones existed, using pigeons instead of people. He built a box with a lever. Peck the lever, get a food pellet. Every single time. The pigeons pecked at a steady, predictable rate. Then Skinner changed the rules. Instead of a pellet every time, the pigeons got one only some of the time, on no fixed schedule. What happened next surprised even Skinner. The pigeons didn't peck less. They pecked more. Frantically, compulsively. This pattern became known as a variable ratio reinforcement schedule, and it produces the most persistent behavior psychologists have ever recorded in a lab. Slot machines run on this exact principle. So does your phone. Every app you open was designed by people who studied Skinner's box carefully. The pull to refresh motion mimics a slot machine lever almost exactly. The likes on your post arrive unpredictably. The next video might be boring, or it might be the funniest thing you've ever seen. You can't know until you swipe. So you swipe again. Tristan Harris, a former design ethicist at Google, spent years warning about exactly this. He described how a small number of engineers, sitting in a handful of rooms, make decisions that steer the thoughts of billions of people every day. Not by force, by understanding dopamine better than most neuroscientists do. That's not an accident. That's the entire business model. But why does it feel so specifically hard to stop? Why does putting the phone down feel like leaving something unfinished? Because your brain isn't just craving the content, it's craving resolution to an open loop. Ancient humans could not afford to leave a rustle in the grass uninvestigated. An unresolved threat or an unresolved opportunity was dangerous to ignore. So your brain evolved to treat open loops as urgent. Unfinished business fires alarm bells that finished business never does. Every unread notification is an open loop. Every unopened message is an open loop. Every video that cuts off mid-sentence, every headline that doesn't quite answer its own question, These are engineered open loops, sitting on top of a 200,000-year-old itch to close them. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Your ancestors' version of this system had a natural stopping point. Eventually, the grass stopped rustling. Eventually, you found the food, or the threat passed, and the loop closed. The forest ran out of open loops for the day. Your phone never does. It refreshes forever. It rustles infinitely. There is no bottom of the feed, because the people who built it made sure of that on purpose. So, is this a design flaw in you? Or is it a design feature in something else? Think back to Schultz's monkeys again. Once they learned the light predicted food, and once that food became uncertain, the dopamine spike happened at the light, not the meal. You are the monkey. The phone screen lighting up is the light. And somewhere underneath the surface, your brain has already started treating the notification itself as the reward, whether or not anything meaningful is actually behind it. That's why the scroll rarely satisfies. You're not actually chasing content, you're chasing the moment right before you see it. Understanding this doesn't make the pull disappear, but it does change what you're looking at when you feel it. That itch at 11 p.m. isn't a character flaw. It's not proof that you lack discipline. It's a 200,000-year-old survival circuit doing exactly the job it was built for in an environment that was never built to let it rest. Ancient humans needed to check the grass because sometimes the grass mattered. Your brain still checks because it doesn't know the difference between a predator and a push notification. It was never designed to. So tonight, when you feel your thumb move toward the screen again, you won't be fighting weakness. You'll be recognizing a 200,000-year-old signal, firing in a world that finally learned how to never let it rest.